Hey, what exactly is the gay agenda? You know why it doesn't really have a definition? Because the term the gay agenda was created by conservative homophobes who were opposed to gay people existing freely. The gay agenda was created to strike fear in other homophobes about false accusations like gay people coming after our children. It's kind of like Trump saying that brown immigrants were coming for black jobs. It's just a false accusation. So today we're going to dig a little bit deeper and talk specifically about the black gay agenda, because like any, non-racial justice movement in America, the justice movement usually defaults to white people. So the gay agenda doesn't really incorporate black folk the way that it does white folk. It's very similar to how feminism was never really applied to black women, which is why black women ultimately developed something called womanism. The founder of feminism in America, Susan B. Anthony, was very clear that it was for white women. And a lot of the advancements in this country for gay people have been done primarily with white gay people in mind. So it's really easy to overlook the nuances of being black, gay, and connected to the church. But before we get into the black gay agenda, I got a little sneak peek for you. Now, in case you didn't know, Holy Smokes only releases about half of our content to the general public. Many of our episodes are available exclusively to those of you who are subscribed to our digital community. And one of the fan favorite topics of Holy Smokes over our 4 years of doing this podcast is Black women and African spirituality. And we just recorded part 7 of Black women and African spirituality. And our special guest was Auntie Mazda Miles, who is a hoodoo practitioner that was raised Church of God in Christ. So here's a sneak peek of Black women and African spirituality 7 featuring Mazda Miles.
The Roman Catholic Church has been venerating ancestors forever and ever. You know where they got that shit from, right? But then when they enslaved us and brought us here, then it was suddenly Protestant. And so put all of that away. Because don't elevate your ancestors and what do you think saints are? Highly elevated spirits that have been prayed for, crossed over, lifted up, and empowered by the prayers of the people. But don't you honor your ancestors. It's something in that. And I'm going to leave that alone.
All right, if you want to access that entire episode, all you got to do is hit holysmokesmovement.com and click join our digital community. That's also how you can participate in helping us keep this podcast alive. And as we get into our topic today, let me give you the backstory for our Black Deconstruction t-shirt. So one of the primary questions that I get all the time is, what does deconstruction mean? Deconstruction refers to breaking something down and analyzing the inner workings. So people all over the globe are deconstructing their faith in real time. Black deconstruction centers the unique cultural and spiritual experiences of deconstructing Black folk. See, the Black church experience is a cultural phenomenon that requires its own attention. Now, the ethnic diversity of our digital community does confirm that Black deconstruction can be beneficial to non-Black folk, but we specifically center the experiences of Black folk. And just to be clear, Black deconstruction affirms the humanity of all Black folk, regardless of sex, gender identity, class, socioeconomic status, disability, etc. So you can grab a Black deconstruction shirt in tan or white. Everybody's been saying tan is their favorite color so far. All you got to do is go to holysmokesmovement.com and click merch and you can shop there. The link is in the show notes. All right, y'all. Today I am joined by Pamela the therapist, Autumn Rich Auntie Clay, and our very special guest. He is the co-host of the Black Gay Agenda podcast, which is why we're having him on this particular episode. He's also a beloved member of the faith community. Alexander Twiggs is with us today for this conversation. So you know what to do. Pull up a chair, light a stick if you want, pour a dram if you please. Oh, look, I'm having my little coffee right now and my Holy Smokes. Look at that. It has a little yellow on there. You see it? Yeah. Doing right now. And my Holy Smokes mug. Oh, yeah. And I got on some merch, too. So, yeah, all of that. Pull up a chair, light a stick, pour a dram if you please, as we deconstruct harmful theology and build beloved community one cigar at a time. Let's get to it.
We're gonna do it anyway.
Forget it. We're back. We're deconstructing harmful theology and building beloved community one cigar at a time. I can't get the show started for nothing dealing with Pamela and Alex. I can't.
You should have never played that video.
we had a good time in the pre-show, and it has carried over, and it took us 3 times. Yeah, Tyranny is going to get us, Queen. You're absolutely right.
So mad.
She go like every time she got to be somewhere else when we record. Folk don't know how to act. Why y'all respect Tyranny more than y'all respect me?
Like, and first of all, I had to do extra work because y'all didn't know how to be quiet on the recording.
I'm new here.
Sorry, T.
Just following the lead of the first lady.
This is Bishop anyway. Okay, this is Bishop. We're gonna do it anyway.
Oh God! Somebody make a note that we started the official recording at 1 hour and 12 minutes. Somebody make a note of that. Pamela, you're on timeout. We have to continue. We're talking about the Black gay agenda.
We gotta put it on the T-shirt. We're gonna do it anyway.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
Oh man, that is funny.
Now that we're talking about that, we need to at least let people know what we're talking about. So there's this video. There's this video that's going around social media.
We gotta play it again.
Yeah, we gotta play it again because some people aren't going to hear the pre-show, and they gotta know what we're talking about. So, Holy Smokes is full of people who smoke cigars, people who don't smoke cigars, and then we got some weed smokers in our community as well. We got some people, you know what I'm saying? So there's this clip floating around, and the caption says, "When apartments tell their residents you can't smoke cannabis here," and then this is the response from stoners.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yes, the vibrato tag on the end, everything. I love it.
Listen, it's the inflection for me. Anyway, we're gonna do it anyway. Yes. Woo!
That's good.
I love it. He just don't know. That's a ministry moment. We're gonna do it anyway. It's a ministry moment. Y'all don't want us to be free, but guess what? We're gonna do it anyway. Y'all don't want queer people and other people to be accepted, but guess what? We're gonna do it anyway. Y'all don't want women to be empowered, but guess what? We're gonna do it anyway, huh? Y'all don't want to give children space and autonomy, but guess what? We're gonna do it anyway. Come on now. Y'all don't want us to love ourselves, but guess what TFC gonna do? We're gonna do it anyway. Lift your hands, look at your neighbor and say, we're gonna do it anyway.
You better exhort woman of God.
When I hayarabo shaya, ekorobo shataha.
Come on, somebody.
Listen.
Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. We don't care. We're gonna do it anyway.
Oh yes, if you got an anyway in your spirit.
If you got a anyway in your spirit, come on.
Well, that had got to look
That'll
good.
go. Now that'll go.
Anyway, huh? I'm here anyway.
You have an anyway in your spirit. Give God an anyway praise.
You tried to kill me, but I'm here anyway. You tried to kill my spirit, but I'm here anyway.
Yeah. Come on, somebody.
Come on.
My family tried to take me down, but I'm here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Tap 3 people and say, anyway.
Now you got to do it like that. Let me hear somebody say, anyway.
Yes.
Lord.
Come on, church
Lord,
kids.
how did we get here? How did we get here? It's the Black Gay Agenda. It's Holy Smoke, Cigars,
It
and
is.
Spirituality. It's Pride Month at the time of this recording. If this makes it to the public, I don't know when exactly this is going to make it to the public if it does, but we recording this at the beginning of Pride Month.
Well.
And we are really excited to have one of our people here to join us for this conversation. Alex Twiggs, who is a member of the Holy Smokes faith community, and he is also one of the facilitators of our Disruptive by Nature group, which is geared specifically toward members of the Q+ community who are a part of the faith community. So he leads in that. And then Alex also is a co-host on his own podcast called The Black Gay Agenda.
Mm-hmm. And that's him in the green, amen.
And the red day, okay?
Yes,
like a responsible father.
Always. That is my role, always. No matter how young I try to be. Okay, I'm always dad.
So we're gonna let Alex introduce himself and tell us a little bit about the Black Gay Agenda podcast.
Yes. I am super excited to be here. First of all, having a ball because y'all my people, so we just kicking it, and I love it. But yes, I am one of the co-hosts. My brother Micah started. He actually handpicked each of us to be a part of this podcast, and we co-hosted together. And it's just a show where we, come together and speak about our experiences, right? Our experiences as individuals, a part of the Black community, and just so that we can listen, we can talk, ask questions, debunk stereotypes. That's one of the big ones, and just it come from a space that is safe, and within the community and for the community. So that's what it's about. We release episodes. We just moved to Wednesday releasing. We talk about everything. And this ain't one of them we finna get on here and kiki all day. We talk about serious stuff. We talked about SA. There's some stuff going on right now. Of course, we all know everything that's going on. We talked about real stuff, so that people are aware of what's going on and how to, move forward from those places of whatever is happening, whatever the topic is. So, yes. So I'm excited to be here to share with you all, and we're gonna do it anyway.
We're gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna say that. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say.
Listen, I'm telling you, it's going on a t-shirt.
It's gonna be out of context. I'm just gonna be like, and we're gonna do it anyway.
We're gonna do it anyway.
The t-shirt should say, "Oh, you don't like it? We're gonna do it anyway."
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, type it in the comments if you believe in it. We're gonna do it anyway.
Okay.
I need it to be spelled ANYWAHA. Way.
Like a bunch of A's.
Yeah, and then that H. Hey, yeah, we need that hey in there.
I can't with y'all. I really
cannot. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna do it anyway. Put it in the comments.
Y'all, wow. Listen. Let's keep it going. We got to do what we always do. This is really important. It's the one thing we never skip at Holy Smokes, and that's the one rule because it grounds everything that we do. And Rich Auntie is in the building. Rich Auntie, give us the one rule.
What up, y'all? We're going to keep it real brief and real cute. The one rule is our North Star, and it simply says that we honor each other's lived experiences. We will never uplift theories over what people have actually lived. So we like to kiki, we like to talk shit, we like to debate. It's welcome. But kindness is always key, and it will never trump what someone has lived. And that comes through a whole bunch of different spiritual traditions and holy books. But over here, we take it from the greatest Commandment Theology, which was curated by our illustrious Bishop TikTok. And it says that your love for God is displayed through how you love your neighbor. And that's an extension of how you love yourself. Therefore, you cannot fully love God if you don't love your neighbor, and you definitely can't fully love your neighbor if you do not love yourself. And, for the people who love the Bible, you can find that in Matthew 22:34-40. But that, like I said, that comes from a lot of different spiritual traditions. And we got to center love out in these hate-filled streets. Amen?
Amen. Amen.
Anyway.
We're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway. Take yourself off mute, friend. Because we're going to do it anyway.
Girl, no, I'm not going to be off mute. Y'all is cutting up and I'm
going to do it anyway.
I'm cackling in the background.
I appreciate how when you do the one rule, you bring up how this concept is not exclusively Christian, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people get into this idea of their faith tradition or their belief system is superior to everybody else's. But you can find love in a whole lot of traditions. You can find self-love, and you can find love for neighbor in a whole lot of traditions. And we strongly believe in interfaith dialogue at TFC. We got atheists in our community, agnostics, Muslim, Buddhists, seekers, Christians, Pentecostal, Catholic, like everybody's represented.
And newbies who don't have any type of religious foundation. Some people come in our groups and they're not churched in any way at all.
Mm-hmm.
Bless them.
Yeah. But they feel like a need to be connected to some type of higher power.
And they believe in the power of community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we do here. So I really appreciate you always bringing that up because it's very important, and I want to give you this. We got to reiterate that stuff. Make sure we keep it at the top of everybody's minds. All right, let's get into some introductions. Maybe you thought because of all of the shenanigans that we did on the front end of this, we wouldn't do extensive introductions, but we're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway. I'm trying to find my note. I'm trying to find my harmony, like for real. Because when Dayfest come and we start singing, we going to do it anyway, it's going to be a harmonious situation.
I'm in it for real. I'm not like joking.
No, I'm not either. I'm not either, Alex.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're going to do it anyway. It's a word. Okay?
Yeah. That's
a word. We need to sing that on the way out. We're going to do it anyway. Man. If your family don't support you, you're going to do it anyway.
But we already got it for you. Okay. I'm
gonna tell y'all right now, don't play with me because I will totally preach. We gonna do it anyway.
Don't do that.
Come on, don't get ready. Don't do
that.
Because last year we lived to see it happen.
Just listen, and then I was in the corner screaming, and I ain't never had a Baptist fit because I ain't grown up Baptist. Do the run, Alex.
Let me find it.
Find it. Do the riff.
See it happen. Yes, that's it. I don't even know the song without it. I don't.
You can't even sing it. You can't sing it regular.
I was like,
come on, Pastor.
Y'all silly.
Make it your own. Make it your own.
Y'all.
That was it for me.
Make it your own.
Y'all, so I knew it was gonna be like this. I was like, when the four of us get together, I was like, it's gonna be one of them situations. All right, so again, we're doing the Black Gay Agenda, and for our introductions tonight, I want to hear what are you smoking and drinking, if anything, and then what does the Black Gay Agenda mean to you? So I get started to kind of break the ice, and then I'm gonna kick it over to Alex as our special guest, who is the co-host of a podcast by this actual name. So I'm really excited to hear what it means to Alex. I am having Evan Williams single barrel.
What does that mean? What does single barrel vintage mean?
So single barrel means it was aged in one barrel. And yeah, it's bourbon whiskey.
Okay.
Evan Williams is a brand that has many different expressions of bourbon, and this is an expression that was really popular, but they discontinued it.
Mm.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate.
I feel like that's just as important as our cigar moments to tell. Like when you drinking something, it's like when you list out all of that, I'm like, what is a single bit? What does that mean?
It's how it's aged, how it's
Okay.
actually, yeah, that's
Got
what it's referring to. And I'm just smoking some incense on this one. So I'm doing Honey Rose by this company. I'm not crazy. Like the
Can
smell
you
is cool.
some of those homes? Because we out of incense at the house.
It's gone.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So we're just gonna have to suffer through it. So yeah, it's cool. I really like my Angel incense. And yesterday I had a Liga Privada. I don't remember which Liga Privada cigar it was, but it was like one of the best smokes I've had in a while. It was so smooth the whole time. I didn't have to relight it once. It was like so easy. I forgot I was smoking it at a couple of moments. Like, dang, how did I get this far down? That Legal Provider really blessed me. All right, so what does the Black gay agenda mean to me as a cisgender heterosexual man who was raised in the Black Baptist Church, where and I had all the privileges afforded to me that you could possibly have in a setting? Because the hierarchy in the Black Baptist Church was built for Black cisgender heterosexual men. So when I think about the Black gay agenda, I think about how the term the gay agenda came to be, how it came out of Christian conservative spaces to cast doubt and disparage the movement for rights for LGBTQ plus people. And I really appreciate how Alex and his crew really hone in on the Black gay agenda, because for me, what it represents is intersectionality. It represents the reality that Black people are gay too. It's like whenever, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like when I do this advocacy, I always get these homophobes who say, don't try to mix the gay agenda and Black civil rights. It's like, but what about Black gay people? What about Black? Because they're both. So are we saying we're going to leave them out of our causes because we don't understand their sexual orientation or their gender identity? So that's what it really represents to me, is this acknowledgement of intersectionality where there are people. Leslie said, you're not going to explain intersectionality? Don't be telling me what to do. So intersectionality acknowledges how people have different forms of oppression that intersect within the same person, because a person has multiple identities at the same time. And within our society, certain identities are favored while other identities are suppressed or other identities are marginalized. So as a Black cisgender heterosexual man, the significant identity that I have that is oppressed is the fact that I'm Black. But when you talk to Alex is Black and gay. So like there's two things at play right there. Like Alex has to deal with all the same stuff that I deal with as a Black man, but then he has another layer that intersects with being Black, and it's being gay, right? And then you got Rich Auntie, who has all the same challenges that I have of being Black. But she's also a lesbian and she's also a woman. So she has like these things that intersect at the same time, which causes all types of distress and unnecessary challenges that people face in these communities. Is that a dollar jar? Is intersectionality a dollar jar? They overruled you, Leslie. Ha ha ha. So yeah, that's what it means to me. I didn't mean to I feel like it would be good to explain intersectionality. So that's what the Black Gay Agenda means to me. And I'm glad we're here discussing it. I'm glad to lead a ministry where these are conversations we have on a regular. And, we emphasize them during Pride Month, but we don't wait until Pride Month to talk about issues that face our LGBTQ plus members. So, yeah, Black Gay Agenda. That's what it means to me. Let's keep it going. Alex, special guest conversation partner. Tell us what you're smoking, if anything, tonight. And then what does the Black Gay Agenda mean to you?
I have been really getting into incense lately as well. I found this website called Wildberry Incense. Their incense smell really, really good. Like, let's smoke more like a flavor. So and don't laugh at me because I want my house to smell like cookies. But this gingerbread one that it smells so good. It's like fresh baked cookies. So I love that one. That's what's really been circulating through the house right now. And I'm drinking a Paloma. So I got a little tequila, the squirt, you know what I'm saying? Making it do what it do in that cup. So yeah.
That's reminded me of that episode where Steve said, I'm drinking squirt.
And then we ran off with it.
Yeah, everybody went off with that. Yes. So yeah. So what are we saying? The Black Gay Agenda mean to me. So what it really meant to me at first initially was anger, right? Because the initial thought is that what everybody kept saying about the gay agenda. There was this whole thing where whenever we wanted to have visibility or representation, there was an agenda or there was something that's going on in this invisible place. And, this group meeting that I didn't attend, I don't know who else did it, but somehow we had this agenda that it was to make everybody else gay and push and make it so that it was gay. And that really wasn't it. It was just the same. It was the very same thing, which was happening years prior when we wanted to see Black people in spaces, right? We just want to see ourselves represented in the world because we exist. So you trying to hide us. So that's really what that is, right? So to me, that's what it means. Well, to me, that's what it meant. Now it means being, authentically me, being, representing for my community, being who I am so that others can see me and know that there are layers, just like there's layers to any other, that there's differences, there's different people of all different kinds, you know what I mean, in the community. So the agenda is, I'm here. And guess what? I'm going to do it anyway.
Yes, sir.
We're going to do it anyway.
It's gonna come back. This whole it ain't going nowhere.
Yes.
So that's really what it meant, what it means to me now. Just being really sum it up, being authentically me in every space, not just when I'm with my friends, not just when I'm in my house, not just wherever I go. I'm being authentically me. I ain't got no flag with me, but I'm going to be me. So if I want to laugh a certain way, or if I want to use some slang that came from, Black gay community, any of that stuff that I want to do, I'm going to do it. And if you hear it, I'm going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway.
I did not intend for this to become the thing.
Yes. That's added to the sounds. I'm telling you.
Yes, it's a thing. And I'm glad to be here for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, I've never gotten that whole idea. Even before I was affirming in my belief system, I never understood the whole concept of the gay agenda is to recruit heterosexuals into that lifestyle. And I was like, but I gotta be willing in order to be recruited. I have to actually. So I've come to the point.
It has to appeal to me.
So yeah, I've come to the point, and I could be dead wrong, and I'm willing to accept that. This is just where I am right now. I feel like if you still convinced that gay people can recruit heterosexuals into the homosexual lifestyle, if you really believe they can do that, you're not a real heterosexual.
You're not sure of yourself.
My Lord.
Like, my Lord. God, they're gonna get me.
Right, they're gonna
My
get
Lord.
me. Oh my God.
It works the same way with your religion. If you can go to another church and they can recruit you, then your faith wasn't solid. Huh?
That brand of incense, somebody asked, was wild berry incense.
Okay.
That's what it was. Sorry.
Is there a brand for it?
Is the brand wild berry, or is that
the brand? That's the brand.
Oh, the brand is wild berry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the brand is wild berry incense.
All right. Thank you.
Pamela.
Oh,
what are you drinking and smoking? If anything? And tell us, Pamela, what does the Black Gay Agenda mean to you?
Well, first of all, I'm Pamela from down the street in Atlanta. I was smoking a little bit of OG Kush before we got started. Shout outs to my plug. But then I also have a Red Bull because your girl was feeling like, I don't know what's been happening with this week, but I was feeling like I was gonna fall asleep. So I got a little bit of Red Bull, and I also have a little bit of Kool-Aid. And in this house, this is a Target cup, by the way. In this house, what we call Kool-Aid is Crystal Light. So there's a little bit of remnants of Crystal Light in this cup and a little bit of Red Bull in this can. And what was the question?
What does the Black Gay Agenda mean to you?
The Black Gay Agenda when I was growing up sounded like how the Army comes to the high school. Army recruits, Navy recruits, Marine recruits. They come to your high school and they sit up at the front of your high school with their table. And then you come pick up pamphlets. That's what hearing somebody say the gay agenda used to sound like to me. Like, oh, they're recruiting with pamphlets and whatever, tracks and whatever. But to me now, the way I think about the Black Gay Agenda, I feel like the Black Gay Agenda is necessary. I feel like it's necessary for Black gays to put themselves on a pedestal and be seen. I feel like it's necessary for a Black Gay Agenda, just like it's necessary for Black people to be seen in general, Black people to be represented in general. I feel like if we're going to talk about a Black Gay Agenda, you need to understand how helpful and beneficial this Black Gay Agenda is. You need to know the Black gays that help push your culture forward. You need to know the Black gays that help push your history forward. And even if I'm going to get personal, you need to know the Black gays in your family. You need to know the Black gays in your church. You need to know the Black gays that wrote your music. So if we're going to talk about a Black Gay Agenda, let's talk about it. Because I'm not coming from a negative perspective about the Black Gay Agenda. If we're going to talk about the agenda and the purpose and what you're trying to push on me, if you're trying to push on me making sure that Black queer people are seen, I'm all for the Black Gay Agenda. That's how I feel about it.
Well, all right then. Yeah, all right. Well, tell us how you really feel then, player.
I'm just saying.
All right. Let's keep it going. Rich Auntie, introduce yourself and tell us what you're smoking and drinking, if anything, and what does the Black Gay Agenda mean to you?
What's up, y'all? Rich Auntie reporting for duty. I am neither smoking a thing tonight. I am healing, but I wish I was smoking some OG Kush that Pamela just mentioned. I'm drinking water. And like some of y'all said, like the Black Gay Agenda thing growing up was like, it fell along the terms of like Satanic Panic or Dungeons and Dragons. Like it was all the controversial things that the church was trying to like scare you into thinking were like bad or wrong. And it's crazy to me now because when I look back at it, I'm like, the things that we were taught to be so afraid of or to be so concerned about, the indoctrinating things, were the things that were actually liberatory versus what we're being taught is actually the indoctrination. So like Pamela said just now, like I really think of it, when I think of the Black gay agenda, I think of, you know, being subversive in a society that is anti-Black. Subversive meaning like against the grain, I'm gonna fuck it up, I'm gonna be disruptive. Because especially working as an educator and looking at the stats of, you know, children unaliving themselves or not feeling safe, I see it as a resource now. So I see it as like, how can I love and affirm you and let you know that you are loved and affirmed and that there are actually people within the Q plus community who are adults living their truth and being disruptive. And this is what we want you to become, not like grooming, which is what they make it out to be. So I love that. I'm glad to be alive in this dispensation of time. It's kind of scary sometimes because I think that, you know, in a world that seems to be going backwards, it feels like we're going to get burned at the stake or something. But, you know, the future generations aren't playing. They're here right now saying, I am who I am. And they're even more expansive. I find myself being checked all the time by my students because, like I said, I'll be like, I'm a lesbian. And they'll be like, are you sure? I mean, you know, you might be a little bisexual. And I'm like, no, you know, and it makes me like just have to think because we're so used to binaries and boxes. And that's what makes us comfortable. But sexuality is a spectrum. And if people were more honest, you know, I know a lot of people when they was my friends in their 20s, like they was dating girls and they were like, girl, we was just drunk, bitch. What? You not straight, nigga. Shut up. Like you got a little leaning in there. You lying. You a little queer too. So
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, just, you know, be cool who you are. That's like the work that we do here. It's like helping people be cool with who they are. You know, this is just a quick reminder that if you're not subscribed to our digital community, you're only getting half of our episodes. We record enough episodes to release one every single week, but we only release every other week because of the amount of labor that goes into releasing every single week. And to be honest, even the episodes that we do release to the general public, we don't release the pre-show. And you ask anybody in our digital community, the pre-show of each episode is an episode in and of itself. So really, if you're not subscribed to our digital community, you're getting like 25% of the podcast content that we record. So if you want to take advantage of that and you want to help support the work that we're doing in a meaningful way so we can sustain it, go ahead, hit up holysmokesmovement.com, click join our digital community, or if you want to support in another way, go ahead and pick up some of that merch. Again, just go to holysmokesmovement.com. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the conversation. Bye. That's like it's a big part of the work. We want everybody to be cool with who they are. And I'm glad to be having this conversation with some cool people who are cool with who they are. So let's keep it going. You know, wait a minute now. Listen, I'm not about this.
What happened?
Oh no, look, my mouse is acting up. You know, this behind the scenes stuff without a mouse is a beast.
Listen, that's terror.
Let me tell you something. We have to figure this thing
I was
out.
like, what happened? What froze? Who said something in the comments? So we look at
That's right. Because I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like get a new battery.
Vaseline on my face and put my sneakers on now. Don't do me.
Oh, no. We're gonna be all right. But for now, we're gonna go to this. Reaching for the stars. Reaching for the stars. We like to talk about how, you know, in this space that we occupy, where we're, you know, focusing on developing self-love and building a theological framework and really a moral compass that is rooted in harm reduction, making sure first and foremost, we don't cause harm to ourselves and harm to other people. When we share these thoughts publicly, people have a lot of negative stuff to say because they just can't fathom people living in this way. And then sometimes reaching for the stars isn't a response to something that we said. Sometimes it's just people proactively put stuff out. And this was shared by a new member of our digital community earlier this week because they saw it in their feed and they wanted to know, like, hey, what do y'all think about this? So I figured, let's talk about what we think about this.
Suggestions from members always end up like, oh God, where did you find this?
Yeah. I've said it recently, but I've really, at this point in the ministry, we have like these cycles where like new people come in because deconstruction is still new to a lot of people. So like they learn the word and it's like, oh snap, this is what I've been doing. And then they come into our community and they're getting started. And the person who posted this was like, yo, I'm like early in my deconstruction journey. So y'all just bear with me because I'm trying to flesh some stuff out. So, there are a lot of people in our community who for this, it's a non-issue, but there are a lot of people who it's an issue for them and they're trying to flesh it out. So I'm glad that we're, going to talk about it. So somebody posted this and we're going to talk about it a little bit. They posted this picture of a rainbow and it says the rainbow is a symbol of God's promise. And they put Genesis 9:13. And their caption, I'm gonna read you like a little bit of the caption that they put with this particular post. And they said, as we enter into June and we begin seeing rainbow flags everywhere, lest we remember the rainbow's true meaning, God's faithfulness and mercy, a sign of the everlasting covenant between God and humanity. And then they put this scripture reference, Genesis 9:13 through 16. And they ended their caption with this. Also, remember, it's not hateful to be reminded of the truth.
How sweet.
How sweet. What you mean by that, Alex? How sweet? Tell us. What do you mean by how sweet?
That was a very sweet ending to that whack ass message. Because, like, for real though, like when I heard that we was going to talk about this, I did a little, made sure I got a point
like
ready
the
for
notes,
this, right? Yes, I have notes.
Research.
I like to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
So, because I had actually encountered this same message prior, right? And I commented, and what I commented was pretty much, if you knew what the colors stood for, you'd shut up, pretty much is what I said. But I got a treat for y'all, because I'm gonna tell y'all what these colors stand for, right?
We ready.
So we first talk about what the rainbow sign was, right? It was after the flood, and it was the promise saying that it wouldn't happen again, right? Sorry, y'all, I had did that. It ain't gonna happen no more, right? That. So let's look at what the colors stand for, right? The basic colors from the base flag, just that regular plain one, right? Red, life, right? So. Right? It ain't gonna happen again. I'm not gonna do this to y'all no more. Life, right? Orange, healing, right? The world is healing because I destroyed it once, right? It's coming back, right? Yellow, sunlight. It ain't raining no more. It's the sun, right? Right. The light refracted that water, which created the colors. Yeah, that.
Teaching here.
Nature. What happens after a rain? That grass be thick, don't it? Them buds on them trees pop, right? Right. That's the green. Indigo or blue, serenity, calm. When does that happen? After the storm? Okay, violet, right? Violet. The violet or the purple, royalty, right? Regal. Also, spiritual, right? Connects you to spirituality, right? That's that. And then, so all them colors is what that flag stands for. It's everything that God was saying that was said in that scripture that God
teaching here.
So why y'all having such a battle? There's nothing to battle about. It's so stupid. It's like, again, the warring, what is it, Autumn? The warring saints, the warring Christians that want to be in war about something. It's like, what are you fighting about? They also use crosses in the name when they were murdering people as well. Did you tell them to stop using the cross for that? Like, come on, like things, the color exists in the world. Colors mean, are y'all saying the same thing about breast cancer awareness?
Yikes.
Like, what are y'all saying? It doesn't make sense. It's like dumb. It's so remedial. It's remedial.
And it's not just remedial, it's dumbass ignorant, right? And this is the thing that always blows me. I remember, growing up, and I was obsessed with rainbows. Like, I loved rainbows. I just thought rainbows were so beautiful. Like, in nature, if I saw a rainbow, I did see it as a reminder of the promise of God. And I remember I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I had, Pamela, you might remember this. Back in the day when they had the little, like,
Lisa
rainbow.
Frank?
Yes, girl. So
bitch, don't play with me.
Everything was rainbow. And I remember I had this plastic bracelet and it was like hearts and they kind of stacked together. And I had a whole bunch of them and I would wear them. And one of my friends at church was like, girl, that's gay. And I was like, no, this the rainbow. This God's promise. Because you know me, baby. That was Bible. I wasn't even aware of my sexuality in 4th grade. But as I started coming into my own, it was like, why wouldn't this be a sign of a divine God? Like, y'all don't want us to have nothing. And that's the problem I have. You want to make, like Alex said, you want to make everything warfare in the air. You want to make everything demonic. You want to make everything evil and spiritual. And then you want to take things that are very clear on some levels. Like, the Bible is not clear at all. But like the way that Alex just ran through all of that, you're going to now say, oh, that's not what it means. Like, when you confront them with something that makes sense and is logical, well, that's not actually what we meant. We meant New King James. You meant I'm dumb and indoctrinated and I'm going to stay there. And that's fine. Stay there. But people who have intelligence and people who have the Spirit of God, like, we can walk and chew gum and do multiple things at one time and just say you want to be a dumbass bitch and stay over there. That's fine. And let me let you know something else. Like, you cannot represent the divine being that way. Like, God is not a low-minded person. That's the whole thing. Like, your mind is too low. Your vibration is too low. So just stay dumb. Stay confused, stay indoctrinated, stay miserable, stay angry, and stay fighting the imaginary demons that plague you while everybody else chooses to be in abundance, and whom the Son set free is free indeed. You want to be bound, so stay bound. Stay over there. We all right.
And we're going to do it anyway.
Alex, shut up.
Anyway.
Shut up.
Listen, this is the 2024 Pride Drag, okay?
Oh, God.
Yes, and I love it.
Yes. When I consider Alex's breakdown of the flag and the colors and what fundamentalist Christians are harping on what the real meaning is, why wouldn't God extend that to the marginalized? Why wouldn't the Creator extend freedom and love and all of the things that those colors represent to marginalized people? So it's like, absolutely, that flag should represent they should absolutely use it. Because when you come from a place of marginalization, what you are hoping for is to be seen. What you're hoping for is to be represented. What you're hoping for is to be loved and to be accounted for and to be considered. So when people are talking about, well, the flag means this and it's a sign of God's promise, I also believe that God has promised queer people some things too. So like, I feel like when you push back against that, you are actually outing yourself as somebody who marginalizes and discriminates against people. Because why shouldn't God's promise be extended to our Q plus siblings? Why shouldn't it be? And if I'm considering, and this is just my social work background, if I'm considering people who should be lifted up and highlighted and put out in front, it's the people that get marginalized. Because when you come from a place of privilege, you don't have to think about marginalized communities. You don't have to think about marginalized people. So sometimes, even though people feel like, oh, having a month is unnecessary and doing this is unnecessary, actually it's not. Because in a society where you have people that are privileged enough to not have to pay attention to that, we need to put those people out in front. We need to put marginalized communities on display. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, you did it with Africans. You show Africans on TV with flies and big bellies. You did that to bring attention to starvation and hunger. In the 80s, you put sick and dying people on display on TV during commercials to bring attention to AIDS awareness and HIV awareness. That's what you did. And even to this day, and God knows I love my dog. He'll be 3 years old tomorrow. You put commercials about animals and dogs that have been mistreated on display because you want people to adopt them and send money. So why is it when it comes to marginalized human beings, when it comes to marginalized human beings, and we're asking you to care, whether it's a flag, a parade, a pop-up to do AIDS testing and other STI, why y'all kicking up dust? Because y'all care more about animals than you do human beings. So, like, I feel like it's necessary. It's so necessary. It's necessary. Just like we do this for.
Yeah, say it with your chest then, Mary.
I mean, I'm just saying, we got symbols for everything. We do this for Black Power. I mean, we do this for love. And why can't people have what they have? Y'all majoring in the minors.
So I'm gonna come at this from a theological perspective.
Come
on. Because I think it's important to look at it from multiple perspectives, right? And I don't have the same level of personal investment because this isn't my identity. Like, I wasn't aware of how significant of an issue this was until I was challenged in seminary, like maybe 10 years ago. And it was like, oh, I missed that I wasn't aware. So when I became aware, I decided to move in a different way. And in my unpacking of fundamentalist white evangelical theology, it is saturated with theological elitism. It is saturated with a theological sense of superiority. And because we are conditioned to think on binary terms, and by that I mean, if I'm right, that means everybody else has to be wrong, right? It's either this or this. For people who grew up in church, either you're hot or you're cold, because God don't want lukewarm saints and he gonna spit you out. That is a great example of binary thinking. Well, the same thing works with this. The true meaning of the rainbow is this. That's binary thinking. If the rainbow means to me God's promise, it can't mean anything else to anybody else. It can only mean God's promise, but specifically to, in this case, straight people, because apparently God isn't making promises to Q plus people, which is the approach that this person takes. And what's interesting to me is that we create such theological arrogance rooted in folklore. Like the Genesis 9 text.
Dang.
It's pure folklore. Like, because even when you study scripture, now you go through biblical scholarship, and you'll have Bible scholars that tell you, most of the Bible characters that we know of are not real people. They are cultural characters, and there is power in these cultural characters. But nonetheless, like Bible scholars will tell you that. But let me tell you what almost everybody agrees on: Genesis 1-11, pure folklore. It's called prehistory.
Everybody take a deep breath. My.
It's called prehistory, right? So the scripture reference of the rainbow being a promise is a reference to the story of Noah and the great flood, which is actually an adaptation of an ancient Mesopotamian tale called the Epic of Gilgamesh. And the Noah character in the biblical reference to the flood is identical to the Utnapishtim character in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Right?
You in the spirit of Myron Randall right now.
I just see a ball of yarn unraveling.
Feel it.
All I feel.
I'm just saying. So it is amazing to me at this point that we have culturally developed such a deep sense of theological arrogance over so much uncertainty, but we wrap it up in the gift wrapping of certainty, but it's all uncertain. So why can't the rainbow mean more than one thing is my question.
Because the ownership of language determines who has the power. That's why. So if I can take the rainbow and put my definition on it and get the crowd buy-in and the group think, that means I have the power. That's why. Because language is very important to indoctrination. How you own the language, how you shift the language, the meanings that you give language helps curate your community. So if I can apply this language to this thing and I tell people that this thing is certain, then when other people use it, it's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You argue with them, you fight with them because you feel like your community owns the language. So all of our lifetime, God put a rainbow in the clouds, yes, in the cloud. We've been singing that because Christianity owns rainbows for brighter days. We own rainbows for getting over hurdles. We own rainbows for getting through trials. Rainbows are a symbol of triumph. But then when I think about that and I apply it to marginalized communities, why wouldn't the rainbow apply to them? Why? Getting through hard times, coming through trip. But it's all about who owns the language. And if you can own the language, then you have the power. So I get to tell you how to use a rainbow. I get to tell you what the rainbow means because in my community, we own that. Christianity owns the rainbow.
And Christianity don't own a damn thing. It doesn't own a damn thing.
Except for oppression. It's high running for oppression.
Christianity doesn't even own oppression.
Leprechauns own the rainbow.
Christianity don't even own oppression. Like, Christianity owns nothing. Christianity provides language to certain things, but even the language that Christianity provides to certain things is not exclusive. Right? So what we're trying to do in this space is help people to understand that nuance is truly the spice of life. That a rainbow can mean more than one thing. That if a rainbow means pride to the queer person, that doesn't mean it can't represent a promise to a Christian. Because when we're talking about intersectionality, you got some queer Christians. So to them, it means the promise of God and pride.
We don't have queer Christians, do we? Wait a minute now.
What? Really?
Wait a minute now. What?
They go to church anyway?
Wait a minute now. God don't love the gays, does he? Wait a second.
We gotta do it anyway. You said queer people can't be Christians, and they said
we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Wait, it's a background on that. Y'all heard that?
Yes.
I want y'all to know
The
how
faith
happy it makes
community
my
gonna
heart.
do it anyway.
Oh, I want the background now. We need to. I need that sound so I can pick that apart.
I'm
Listen,
telling you.
we're gonna
It
do
was
it
like
anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. I need that.
So to the people who believe that in order for the rainbow to mean to represent a promise, that means it is disqualified from representing pride. We want you to know you have been
Reaching for the stars.
Yeah, y'all. Nuance is the spice of life. It's the spice of life. Get into it. I'm telling you, get into it. More than one thing can be true at the same time.
It's called
And
nuance.
yes, in our faith traditions, many of us have been in faith traditions that have tried to convince us that in order for us to be right, everybody else has to be wrong. And that's one of the biggest lies that many of us have ever been told. You can be right and other people be right. You can be in your straight relationship and allow other people to be in a same gender loving relationship, and everybody will be okay. Woosah.
Unless you're in a bearded marriage and you're miserable. Sorry for you.
My Lord. My Lord.
Then there's
And that can
part.
happen across spectrums.
And they're gonna do that anyway.
Misery can happen across spectrums. Whether you are straight, gay, or whatever it is. Please, people, don't be out here being miserable. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. That's not
It's
what
actually really sad.
God didn't ordain that for your life. Don't let that be a testimony.
Yeah. So I want to, get deeper into this conversation about the Black gay agenda. We talked a little bit about like what it means to us personally and, how people try to force a certain way to view the rainbow on others based on their Christian indoctrination. And I have a really interesting question, and I want Alex to start me here because when I consider this question, the question is like, what has been your journey towards affirmation? And a lot of times when I raise a question like that, people assume that I'm only talking to straight people who have learned to become affirming. But what I have found in working with so many people from the Q plus community is that even Q plus people have to journey towards affirming themselves if they were born in a space where they were taught to hate themselves. And I really would love to hear for all of us, like, what has that journey been like for you? Were you born into an affirming community? Were you born into a space where it was just like it goes with how life is set up? Or were you born in a space where you learned you had to suppress yourself and then you had to overcome that? So, Alex, I would love to hear from you. What has been your journey towards affirmation?
So whenever we talk about a word, I like to define it so we all on the same page, right? So affirm, right? Affirm means to validate, confirm, to state, to assert, to show or express a strong belief in or dedication to, right? So everybody on the same page, right? So that's more than tolerating. That's more than accepting. That is validating, right? That is believing me when I said I was born like that.
Yeah.
That's believing me when I said ain't nobody touching me, right?
Yeah.
So now, for me, it's weird because I didn't everything that made me not feel affirmed was indirect or caught. It wasn't necessarily something that I was taught, but I knew that it was a negative connotation around it, right? Before I even knew that it applied to me, right? I remember being young and hearing somebody, I can't remember who it was, tell my mama they spoiling me too much. that she's spoiling me. You spoiling him too much. You're gonna be the S word. I always say it because I don't care, but I don't know how other people feel, so I won't say it. I don't care about it. But like that. And that didn't mean anything to me, but that just I would be spoiled because I don't know what they was talking about, right? I remember being in 8th grade. Remember you had the little books in 8th grade when you graduated 8th grade, and you had your little thing, your little what is that book? I don't know. The little book that everybody signed, and the girls would fold them into those little tulips.
A yearbook.
A yearbook?
It was a little thing. I don't know if it's original.
Was it a yearbook?
Nah,
it was like autograph pages.
They had blank pages. Yeah. And people would sign your little book. It had a zipper. It was like a square. And then you would get it when you went to your little ribbon pinning ceremony.
Slam book.
That was I don't know what everybody called it, but I don't know. I don't even know what we called it. But anyway, one of my friends wrote in there, it's just your friends will write congratulations and good luck, like good luck in high school. You know what I mean? Whatever. And this boy wrote, good luck, gay boy. I was just like, what? Where did that come from? I was so far from anything sexual at that time. I was very sheltered from it. I learned later that there was a reason for that my mom revealed about her childhood. So I was very sheltered. So I was just like, why are you saying this? I would always think so is it because how I speak? Because I'm smart? Because I'm nice? I'm quiet sometimes? Sometimes I'm talkative. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. I don't understand. I knew it was a negative connotation of it. And, just having those things happen, I was just like, well, I guess it's bad to be that, whatever that is. And as I'm growing up and not understanding, coming into knowing I have feelings, not knowing what they are. Once I understood what they were, then now I'm fighting against that, right? Because I don't want to be that because the negative connotation that came along with that, I don't want to be. Now, family, little things you hear, oh, it was this person. Words you hear that, you learn later that were slurs that people just said because that's all they knew, right? They weren't trying to slur, they were just saying things. Then now we're in church and not necessarily preached about it, right? It was very preached across. So if you were intelligent enough, you picked up what was being said without it being said. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like, okay, so we knew that was a thing. It was always hidden. Nothing was in front. Nobody was spoken directly to. So you pick up that it isn't right? So that whole time, I'm growing up, I'm developing as an adult, a young adult, a man, right? I'm struggling through relationships, trying to be in a relationship with females. I'm struggling through being depressed that it wouldn't work, right? Being upset that it wouldn't work, being upset at myself that it wouldn't work, thinking what's wrong with me that it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Why don't I feel like they feel when they talk about that? That don't feel like that. That wasn't that exciting to me, but you know what I'm saying? Why didn't I get excited like that? But some male friends that I would see or other people that I would see, I'd be like, I want to be their friend. Well, no, I don't feel like I want to be their friend, though. I don't know what that is. Anyway, moving on. You know what I mean? Still battling and understanding. And, once I got old enough, of course, I understood what it was. Still fighting that. And I had a moment where it got to the point where I felt like, and I'm going to say me, because nobody told me this, but I felt like, because by that time I was in a relationship, same-sex relationship with a man, and it was a hidden relationship, so nobody knew, and I felt so out of line, right? I was in church, I did praise and worship, I led, I sang in the choir, I taught youth Bible class, young adult Bible class, I did everything that I was supposed to do, but I felt like I was not right. I still felt wrong. Mm-hmm. So I was I went through just not being happy, right? Always feeling like I wasn't quite there, and that everything that didn't go right in my life, whatever it was, no matter how big, no matter how small, was because of that, right? And so I was in another relationship, got out of it. Just navigating all that was a lot. And I got to a point when I don't know why it happened. I got to a point when I said, I stopped teaching. I got out of the choir. I got off praise worship. I just was sitting in church. I started to, and I'm a very emotional person. I'm very spirit filled. So when I'm in service, I'm in, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I even felt guilty for feeling the Holy Spirit. So it was like, because all I would hear is you doing all that, but you're doing all that. You know what I'm saying? So I got to a point when I was like, I can't take this. So something has to happen. And what I'm going to first do is maybe I need a change of scenery. So I left my home church I grew up in, church I had been in since I was like 10 years old. I left and I was like visiting churches. And I visited one church, was like, this ain't what it is. This can't be the problem, because I hate it here. I hated it everywhere I visited. It wasn't anything nice. And so I just was like, you know what? Maybe I need a break. Maybe I need to just look at me, right? And once I took the break, I started to live and focus on me and like what I actually was feeling and coming to terms with it being who I was. It was hard for me to even say I am gay. That sentence was just like, even when you said it earlier, when you were talking and you mentioned me and you mentioned Autumn, I was like, it's just weird. I don't know. It's just like, it's something about it. It's just like,
yo, I paused. I was like, but that's why he's here. So I don't think there'll be a problem with me saying that.
It's not a problem, but I still have the feelings.
Yeah. It's the internal work.
And I know I need to it needs to happen. It needs to be said. You need to say it. I need to say it. I need to hear it. But, it's still in there. And I'll be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had to step away completely and love me. Enjoy my life. Live without thinking and feeling guilty. Live without feeling like I'm doing something wrong every day. And just live and have time to see the ups and downs of my life, and that it wasn't predicated on what I was doing, right? Live years without stepping foot in the church so that I could still understand that I'm still connected and that I'm still, alive in the world and it's moving whether I'm in there or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had an epiphany moment. I was doing, I call it the auntie moment. I was cooking. I had cooked breakfast. I was listening to my gospel, which I always did. Had washed dishes, cleaned the kitchen. And one of the songs, I can't remember, what song it was, but I was singing it like I was like in front and like doing praise worship. Like I was acting like I was in service. I was like really singing, right? And then something, just like a little sound, it said, "See, I'm still here. Do y'all know that I tore that goddamn kitchen apart?" Everything. I was just like, no. At that moment, I was like, that was the affirming that I needed. That now that could have been me. Could have been me. Could have been spirit. Who knows? But whatever it was, I needed that affirming. I needed that validation, right? I needed that, I just needed the cosign to be able to be me. And once that happened, I was like, look at everybody else. And I just started to just be me. And it wasn't, of course, instantly. I didn't just be like, look at everybody. It took time. You know what I'm saying? It took me time, but I did it. I was able to, and I was blessed to be able to do it at my own pace, because not everybody is, right? So I was able to do that at my own pace and walk through it. And when I look for being affirmed, I look for places that I spend time in affirming me, right? Like if I'm spending my time and energy here, then that place needs to affirm who I am. Not specifically me, but us, right? So that I know that I'm welcome. So I know I'm not fighting no internal battle, with them, with myself and all that. So I don't even know if I answered the question, but affirming. Yeah,
you did.
Okay, I had to go through that to affirm me, and it took a while. So
when you said you were singing in the kitchen,
I was going there,
and then you heard that voice that said, "Yeah, I'm still here."
Mm-hmm.
What I saw in that moment was you doing something like this. While you was eating the sandwich.
Ain't nothing like going in by yourself.
Yeah.
In private by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different kind of gratefulness.
Yeah.
Yo, do y'all know how long we've been doing this? Like, I did not realize it was this late. I feel like we was just like, getting into it.
Oh,
Y'all realize
shit. I didn't even look.
Exactly. I ain't even paid attention to what time it is.
I looked at it too.
Like,
I didn't either until you just said it.
I know. So, but we here, we gonna, keep it going till it's done. We go a little bit over, but it's, we're not gonna be here all night. But I do want to hear from Rich Auntie, in your journey. Cause Rich Auntie is the one who has given us the slogan of "Such was I." Like that is a slogan that comes up constantly in the faith community, to the extent that Pamela and Tierney have been like, we got to make this some merch. We got to make some Such Was I merch. Because we have adopted it so much in the space of like, I used to be there too.
Used to be me.
Yeah. So, I want to hear from Rich Auntie, like, what was your journey towards affirmation?
So much of what Alex said resonated with me. So I just want to say thank you for being vulnerable, Alex, and sharing that. My journey toward affirmation, like even though I'm loud and proud and vocal and all the things, it's still very much ongoing. I find myself very easily affirmed in TFC spaces and with myself. I still struggle for that desire for affirmation within my family. I think my family affirms me, but they do it in the way that they can through their own level of understanding. Even because I have a black deacon daddy who is a superintendent of Sunday school and still gives me daily bread devotionals and Sunday school books and all the things. And then my mom, I sent Pamela this video. My mom is like,
baby,
so cute.
it blessed me.
She is so adorable. Like my mom is the type of person that she's done as an adult, like everything her kids were doing, she did. So she was the youth, she was the now that she's free, she back on her dance bag. So we're in Virginia and I just got there and she's in the kitchen doing a praise dance on the Zoom. I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
And when I tell you she was tuned in,
that thing was serious.
Tuned in.
Listen,
I said, like, Lord, I just want to have this level of commitment. That's all.
Virtual praise dance rehearsal.
It's a generational thing. So when I talk to my parents, I think that my sexuality is still very abstract to them because they haven't really seen me partnered. And even when I'm dating, I'm so far away from them. It's like, oh, you talking to a girl? What she like? Da, 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 da. It's not real to them. But they also say things that I'm like, no, that is not affirming. Get your shit together. Like, because I was talking to my dad the other day and he was like, I'll always love you. I don't care about your lifestyle. And I was like, listen, I know you're trying. I see what you're doing, but no. I don't love you in spite of your hetero lifestyle. Well, what do you mean? See how dumb that sounded? So let's not do that. So I think I struggle within the family dynamic because it's like I'm the oldest daughter, but I'm single. I don't have no kids. My siblings have kids. They've married my parents. They're building their families.
Child, you the cat lady by now.
And so there's like some weirdness there. But in terms of my actual like affirming evolution, I think like what Alex said that stood out for me was when I decided I didn't know I was leaning into the greatest commandment, but I talk about this all the time. I went on a missions trip in 2014. I went to Brazil. I was a youth programs leader, and there were like all these super weird kids that were like homeschooled, and they were just like, they were like on fire. I hate to say on fire for God, but they were like on fire for God, but in a regular, like logical way. Like these kids were smart. Like these were like, they were just so, they knew current events, and they weren't being weird like the prophecy of God said. Like it was none of that. They were just like, I got breath in my body, like I got a God to praise. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You haven't lived nothing. And I remember we had to do like these little hour-long devotions, and they were just like, I'm so grateful I can sit down and just draw. Like I'm gonna draw a picture for God. And I'm like, what?
I'm gonna draw a picture for God.
They were like, I got, I got this art
God.
talent. This one girl was over there like pop locking and dropping it. Like they were just in like their creative bag. And I just remember, mind you, at this time, like I'm a worship leader, I'm a Christian ed leader, I'm on the women's ministry. I was a single that was on every ministry, baby. Okay, so that's what I was doing. And I remember these kids were just so free, and they were not religious, and I was religious, and I could not connect. I'm in beautiful Brazil, like watching these big ass birds of paradise, seeing all this beautiful landscape. And I lead worship every day, multiple times on a Sunday, multiple times on a Wednesday, and I cannot connect to God. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, dang, why can't I connect? And at that time, that was when I was, quote unquote, dealing with my sexuality, and I had accepted like, oh, I'm gay, I'm just not going to get married, I'm going to be celibate. It was the whole like, gay but don't be gay.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to this church, and they were like, oh, we need you to sing this song. And we were trying to figure out what songs we knew in like English and Portuguese. And we ended up settling on this song by David Crowderbrand, Oh How He Loves. And I will never forget, I went to lead that song. Right before I led this song, I heard this audible voice. And like Alex said, I'm at the point, I don't know if the voice was me. I don't know what the voice was. But baby, the voice arrested me. It was like, I love you. Like, there's nothing you can do that can separate me from, like, nothing. There's absolutely nothing in your identity, in your thoughts. Nothing will separate me from your love. And I remember I walked in the church, and it looked like a club, baby, because they made us wear all these like religious, like we had to wear long skirts, and it's hot in the summer. These people came to the club, they had the little half shirts, they had on booty shorts. And when I tell you, like, their praise was ridiculous, I was just like, as Americans, we're so concerned with the outer part. We're so concerned with all these rules and trying to look holy. These people are desperate for God. They don't care about nothing I'm saying. They just were like, they walked in the door like, hallelujah. I'm like, why are they screaming? They did not need a worship leader. And when we started to sing the song, we're all singing the song in different languages. And I remember feeling the power of God like nothing I have ever felt before. And in that moment, I left knowing like, oh, bitch, you a lesbian, and it's okay. Like, you can lead worship. None of this matters. Like, anybody who will judge you does not know this kind of God, because this kind of God is powerful unto shaking the environment to change you. And I left that environment like, I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I know that these things are true about me, and I'm good with it. And I don't have to be worried about nothing else no more. And there was still a lot of affirming that had to happen because of indoctrination. You know, I went back like, oh, you still leading worship in a black ass church that's repressive, trying to pair you off with some niggas, and you don't like niggas. But I had to learn and grow through that. So,
wow, I don't even know. I really believe in the power of people's stories. I really, really believe in the power of people's stories. And again, that's why I love sacred texts. I love ancient scripture. Like, of course, in my tradition, the Bible is what we emphasize in my tradition. So I've carried that on. But I believe that when we look at what the ancients wrote about their experience of the world and their experience of divinity, it can tell us a whole lot about the human experience. because where the sacred text says, and they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, there's something so powerful about the word of our testimony that I think sometimes we lose sight of, because in traditional church context, we make everything about Jesus, the cross, the blood, the resurrection, all of that stuff. And it's like, but our stories matter. Like, and our stories, in many ways, our stories carry more power than Jesus, because when people can't connect to Jesus, they can connect to our stories. And I don't take anything away from Jesus, but there's something about the connection that happens when we tell our stories. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I feel like when people tell their stories, it's grounding to hear other people's stories. That's how I feel. Like, because you never know what sharing your testimony, sharing your story might do for somebody else. It's a grounding thing. When you hear somebody say out loud what you've been dealing with in private, what you've been dealing with without talking about it, the thing that you haven't said to anybody or your friends or your partner or your parents or whatever, when you hear somebody give a testimony and you can relate, it's almost like there's a bond, there's an unspoken bond of understanding that you aren't the only person that's dealing with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pamela, I want to hear your journey towards affirmation, and then we're gonna, close out this conversation. I guess we have to do a part 2 because we didn't get to any of the stuff that we was thinking about talking about. I want to hear from each of us. Where are we finding hope this Pride Month? But Pamela, for right now, what was your journey towards affirmation?
I think I had a back and forth because of how my household with my parents kind of like pushed back against my church community. So when my church community was saying being gay, same gender loving, and having any type of feelings outside of heteronormative or heterosexual feelings was a sin, that was that. It was black and white. But at home, when we left church, my parents had queer friends. So there were trans friends that would come to our house and visit and catch up with us the same way my aunties and uncles would do, or whoever my parents' friends would come through. Some of those people were on various parts of the spectrum. So like it was weird for me as a kid who was listening to this rhetoric about how same gender loving people and people who identify on a fluid level are sinful and are demonic. And then to go home and these same people that we just talked about in church, I call Uncle so-and-so or Auntie so-and-so, or, that. So my affirmation, I always leaned on what my family did. So even though my church said it was bad, my lived experience with these people said, oh, this is family. That's why there's Auntie so-and-so. That's why there's Uncle so-and-so. That's why my daddy goes so hard. That's why my mama goes so hard. I feel like my affirmation was something that was cultivated by my family, but what I had to work through was my lived experience versus what my doctrine said, because my doctrine was what was going to get me to heaven. And I had to forsake my family for the sake of my doctrine. So that was really hard for me to deal with.
Yeah, I can only imagine having those mixed messages from the church and from the house. Like I didn't necessarily have to go through that because my dad was my pastor and he was consistent. So what he preached in the pulpit on Sunday was what he taught me at home. So I didn't have to deal with that tug of war. But I didn't grow up in an affirming space. I grew up in a moderate, accepting, tolerating space. Let's say tolerating. That's the space I grew up in. We were tolerant. And that's just kind of the way I moved through the world, because we didn't talk about homosexuality like that growing up in my church. And it was really when I got to seminary where I was challenged, because prior to seminary, I understood the issue of my blackness. My blackness was a social justice issue. But the way same gender love or queerness was framed in my church, queerness wasn't a social justice issue. It was a sin issue. So that is how we were taught to separate it, right? I can't help but be black. So we were conditioned to believe that same gender love or gender fluidity, anything in the queer, spectrum, was a matter of sin. And it was also something that you could choose to pursue or not choose to pursue. And when I was challenged in seminary, that really mess with me. And at the same time, I was challenged to think differently about how I view the issue of human sexuality. I was also wrestling with my perspective on biblical authority, because growing up, everything in my theology was rooted in biblical authority. So I'm already questioning biblical authority. And then my classmates tell me you should also question what you believe about human sexuality. So I got both these things going on at the same time. And then I sat down, and this is what I want to share with anybody who, really anybody, but particular people who share my identity, like cisgender heterosexual. What really shifted things for me was when I sat down and I reflected on my own lived experience. I reflected on my own sexuality, because I was told that Q plus people are Q plus by choice. And when I sat down and reflected on my own sexuality, I said, Christian, did you choose to be wired sexually the way that you are? Did you have a choice in what you like? And I can honestly say, no, my sexuality was not a choice. It was a discovery. So if my sexuality is a discovery, why am I saying that Q plus people have a choice? Why do they have a choice when for me it's just a discovery? And when I considered what my life would be like if the dominant culture told me I could not express my sexuality in the way that I am wired, when I considered what that would be like for me, I said, I don't ever want to put that on anybody else. I don't know what's going to happen to my ministry, but I don't ever want to put that on anybody else, because I considered what it would be like in my life. As much as I like women, I wouldn't want nobody telling me I can't express myself sexually in that way. So then that just took me down this whole path towards full affirmation and advocacy, because I also started working with people in the Q plus community who told me how devastating that theology was. And I've had so many people tell me how it made them not want to live. And I was like, I can't practice a theology that makes people not want to live. That's just not going to work. So, that's when affirmation just kind of took over, and I realized I can't do ministry the way that I was kind of conditioned and programmed to do it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I appreciate everybody's take on how you got to affirmation. And then, there were, anybody want to add anything before we move forward?
I do.
Yeah.
I know that I always kind of come in when I'm on the show and I talk about how the dichotomy or the contrast of what my church taught versus what I got at home. And it's like oh my God, your family was so. But for a kid whose frontal lobe isn't developed, to have to figure out how to navigate who's right when you're trying to understand salvation and loyalty to your family, that's such a burden.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to know when they hear me and they hear me talk about how affirming my family was, or, the things that my parents were accepting of and affirming of in my household. I need people to understand also that my church they held the same weight as my parents. So for a kid trying to figure out who you need to be loyal to was incredibly hard for me. Like, do I want to go to heaven or do I want to obey my mother and father? Like,
Yeah.
that was a whole thing. So I don't ever want to come in and make it seem like, oh, well, you didn't have to worry about whether or not you were going to ostracize people. Yeah, that might have been easy for me, but the hard part was I still got to go to church. I still got to fit in at church. I still have to not raise questions and look like an outcast in the general scheme of my community. So yeah, it's just this turmoil in a different kind of way when your household doesn't match your faith community and your afterlife hinges on what your faith community says. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I want to leave with this. Like, where are we finding hope this Pride Month in your journey as you consider all of your experiences, and we're in Pride Month and a very interesting time in the country. Where are you finding hope this Pride Month, Alex?
Man, I think Autumn said it earlier, if I'm not mistaken. The youth, like those youngins, they do their shit and they do it unapologetically. I mean, they are like unapologetically them, and they express in direct ways, outwardly, without a care. So as much as we pile on them about their behavior in other areas, in some areas they got the bag. They are running with the torch. So I think that's what gives hope, because there's people that understand, and the more you grow, you see that there are more that understand, and sometimes them that don't. So I think if we look to that, that's pretty much the hope that I see.
I feel that the youth are leading the way.
Yeah.
And the world is not ready for how fluid they are in their understanding of the world.
Fluid, accepting, affirming.
Yeah.
They
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Rich Auntie, what about you? Where are you finding hope?
I'm finding hope in healing. Y'all know I've been going through, but in the silence and in the quiet times, I've just really leaned into, there really isn't anything new under the sun. Like, shit has been fucked up generationally forever, and there is a piece of resistance that we all have to play. So the way that I choose to do that is by being my authentic self and making sure that I'm doing my work so I can, live to love another day. And that's really just where my focus is right now, because I think it's really easy, especially with how chaotic the world is right now and how much horrible stuff is going on. It's easy to just get down and think we ain't made no progress. We not gonna make no progress. Like, we just stuck in hell. But that's really not true. And so I'm looking forward to feeling a little better so I could catch a parade or go to brunch, go to drag brunch, do something to uplift my community and make myself feel good. And wherever I can find that joy is going to be what helps me to live another day, to love another day, to stand up and be my authentic self and disrupt all of the systems of this chaotic world another day.
That was so wholesome and sweet. I love that.
Wasn't it?
Wasn't it? So wholesome and sweet.
Is it my turn? Because my box is big. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm finding hope in observing people leaning into themselves. That's what I'm finding hope in, because as somebody who's not a part of the community but cares deeply about the community, when I see people in the community have small victories, I love that. Whether it's, oh, I wore this shirt today, or I did this thing today, or I talked to this person today, or I didn't stay silent in this like that kind of stuff makes me feel good. So yeah, that's where I'm finding hope. I'm finding hope not in the extraordinary, extravagant, grandiose gestures, but what I'm seeing in my feed and what I'm hearing on the podcast that I listen to, it's the small things that people are experiencing and taking risks with when it comes to their sexual expression that like warms my heart, because it's a win. It's a win for them. When you've been trapped, a little thing is a win. So that's why I find my hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're gonna go to Alex for our final words here in just a moment. And I'm gonna tell you where I find hope. And it's just like, this is a part of my experience, my social location as a cisgender straight Black male. I find hope as I see other straight Black men become affirming. Because when I think about the Black gay agenda, what I hear most from people in that community is they just want to feel safe. At a basic level, they want to be safe wherever they go, right? If nothing else, I want to be safe. And straight Black men are the primary perpetrators of harm towards Black Q+ people. So every time I see a straight Black man talk about becoming affirming and wanting to advocate for the community, I find hope in that, because it's like, yes, I don't think Gen Z and Gen Alpha should have to carry that torch alone. Like, I need some Black men in my space, in my generation, to stand up and say, yo, this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to make our people feel safe, and we're going to make our people feel seen. Because if we can get with it, the whole community can get right. Because we're the thing holding the community back. If we can get with it, the whole community would get right. So I find hope when I see straight Black men in the faith community becoming more bold in their advocacy and their affirmation, and taking the risk to put themselves out there and speak up, because privileged people are more prone to listen to other privileged people. So, when I'm a straight Black man out here advocating by myself, people can like just look at me as like an outlier. But when it's a whole bunch of us, that makes a difference. It's like, oh, all of y'all? Well, let me pay more attention. So yeah, that really gives me hope.
Can I just say that's so powerful what you just said, because there's a different type of change, whether it be physically in our context or even with our mindset, when the lead of the oppressors decides to turn the corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to work internally to get people to turn the corner. It's a different thing when the person who's been leading the oppression decides to have a change of heart and turn the corner. So it means a whole lot to have, and I feel like that's just that's just you're a really loud exception right now. And I'm hoping that other people who feel the same as you find the courage to be as loud as you. Because something happens when your allies are loud.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. And I've seen how being loud and being consistent with my advocacy has allowed people to trust more, right? Like, because of my identity, the natural response to somebody like me is to put up a wall, because usually somebody who looks like me or who identifies like me is a threat to a person's safety. So when Q plus people like really trust me, that means a lot to me, because I know how much work they have to go through to be able to trust me. And I want to honor that and be consistent and authentic. And that's why we can do this, because of how much we stress authenticity. So my advocacy is not a performance. That's who I am. I'm very particular about how I use my words, but like the motivation behind it is authentically me. And the words that I use are authentically me. I'm just very intentional with my authenticity. So for people to believe that and say, yo, I trust that you have my best interests at heart, it really means a lot to me. So Alex, we've talked a little bit about, what the Black gay agenda means, and this whole what the rainbow means, and how do we get to affirmation. Just, there were a lot of different directions we could have gone tonight. What do you want to leave us with? How do you want us to walk away from this moment in time?
So first, I wanted to actually go back to what you were just saying about your affirming nature. What I don't want us to forget about are, because I think the cisgender Black men are the figurehead, but I really believe who drives what cis Black men do and how they perform is Black women. Because what cis Black men are doing is to impress who their target audience is, right? The Black woman. So you are able to freely be affirming because you have an affirming wife. Because she could have easily questioned your affirming.
Come on here.
Right? And I think we miss it because we see so many Black women in partnership with Q plus community, but they are the power holders. They can dictate why do you think you have to wear the shirt that says, sassy, or why, BJ Cosby, who says that? Black women, right? They put the definition on what's sassy or not. Whenever we see those ridiculous posts come out of what you shouldn't and shouldn't be doing as a straight Black man, it's the power behind it as a Black woman. So if more Black women are affirming to their cis straight Black men, more Black men that already feel this way would be comfortable to do it. Yeah.
It's all interconnected. You're right.
It's like a circle. Like, I want to affirm, but you don't like it. If I affirm, then you're gonna question me. So now I gotta be quiet.
And can I add to that, Alex? Because I believe that is true. And can I say how in that moment you made the circle you made a full circle for me? Because as much as men try to impress us with their machismo, the things that we say, we're also being pick-me's. So the more masculinity we like, we also get approval from our community, because it's not cool for Black women to like soft Black men. It's not cool for me to love my man who likes polish on his thumbs and on his toes. So I also will perform hyper masculinity to get approval from my community. It's like a circle. We just keep circling the block. Black men are looking to get the Black woman's approval about what being manly is supposed to look like. And then for a Black woman, you're not a real bitch if your man's soft. So you can't have no man that's polishing his nails. You can't have no man in hoochie daddy shorts. You can't even have a man that drink his cocktail through a straw. Because once a man put his mouth on the straw, guess what? He gay. If your man like hookah and he put his mouth on a hookah tip, guess what? He's gay.
So let him
he can smoke weed though. He can smoke a blunt though. He can put a cigar in his mouth though. But if he sip his cocktail through a straw, guess what? He's gay. So everybody is under the pressure of misogyny. And so we all just circle in the block.
Yep.
Everybody's circling the block.
Yep.
Everybody's under the pressure of what it's like to be a man. Even us. Even the people that don't have penises have to live under the standard of what it means to have and to be a real man. Because you ain't a real bitch if you ain't got a real man. Okay? Ask me how I know.
Yo, this is for both of y'all. Y'all both deserve that because y'all brought up like really great points. Anything else you want to leave with us, Alex?
I mean, I just want to leave love and light. And I just want to say happy Pride. I just want to say to all the naysayers, we're going to do it anyway. Right?
We're going to do it anyway.
Well, the agenda is agendaing, okay?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, as we close tonight, for everybody who wishes we would stop talking about pride, we want to leave you with this.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
We'll be back next time. Deconstructing harmful theology, building beloved community. Peace out. Real quick before you go, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. We hope that it was helpful. Whatever platform you're on, go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, whatever that platform calls for. And if you want to hang out with us in person, mark your calendars right now for the last weekend of August 23rd through the 25th. We're having Dayfest in Atlanta. Day is spelled DAI and it stands for Disruptive, Authentic, Inclusive. Dayfest is like the most unconventional church anniversary you'll ever experience. It's for people in our Holy Smokes community, people in the faith community at large. We get together. It's like a family reunion. It's like a cookout with extended cousins. So the last words for the day are going to come from Kirkland Big Sexy to tell you a little bit about his Dayfest experience. If you want to be a part of it, go ahead and visit thefaithcommunity.org and then under the shop tab, click Dayfest registration. It's live right now. Meet us August 23rd through the 25th in Atlanta. We would love to see you there.
All right, Kirkland, tell me about your Dayfest experience.
We done had some good ass food. Oh, can I curse? Can I start over? So far, I've had a great experience. I've got to live a life I didn't think I was going to live. So we went from hanging out on Friday, we had church on Saturday, then we talked about sex earlier today, and now we drinking drinks and eating jollof and smoking cigars. Like, oh wow, the Lord is in the center. I mean, what better do you get than that?